Have you ever heard of the enclosure? I'm guessing not. Our capitalist overlords would prefer that you not know, so I'll tell you. The enclosure was baby capitalism's first major dick move. It was essentially very rich people stealing from very poor people so that those poor people could be exploited more easily. Here's how it went in a nutshell. In Europe, back when feudalism was starting to crumble and the merchant class was beginning to grow in size and power, the aristocracy and the merchant class realized that in order to maintain their wealth, they needed abundant, cheap labor. At the time, the peasant, i.e. the working class, had enough land to produce their own food. Most organized some sort of collective to ensure the basic needs of their communities were met. No one lived an extravagant lifestyle, but almost no one went hungry or unsheltered. In its essence, it was socialism. This socialist-like arrangement meant the peasant class didn't need the nobles or the merchant class to get by. They were largely independent. Not surprisingly, the nobles and merchant class weren't particularly happy about this. Economically independent peasants wouldn't work all day for abysmal wages and dangerous conditions, so the nobles and merchant class pulled one of these. The nobles, the merchant bourgeoisie, and even the church banded together and illegally and violently fenced off large swaths of land that belonged collectively to peasants and claimed it as their private property. They even cut the peasants off from hunting grounds and water sources. In short, they literally murdered, raped, and pillaged to steal what little the peasants had. Cut off from what little means they had to care for themselves, the peasants were forced to work for the nobles and merchants in hellish conditions for meager wages in order to barely afford food and shelter. Sound familiar? Capitalists repeated this destructive maneuver around the world, murdering, raping, pillaging, to steal the resources they wanted and force the indigenous population to work for a pittance. This still continues today. If you doubt me, take a deep dive into what's happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo, for starters. So whenever someone tries to say, capitalists earn their wealth, tell them about the enclosure and how all, and I mean all, imperial core wealth is built on this theft and violence.